All right, the climate alarmist cult has a new victim tonight, Martha Stewart. Really? Martha Stewart. That's who they're going after? Now, she's under attack over this Instagram post. During a trip to Greenland, Martha Stewart held up a cocktail, and she wrote, quote, "We actually captured a small iceberg for our cocktails tonight." Well, this little remark is sparking predictable outrage from the climate alarmist religious cultists. And according to FoxNews.com, one commentator wrote, quote, "Martha, the ice caps are melting. Don't put them in your drink. Martha, you can use all the ice cap ice you want. We have plenty of it. No problem." Seemingly unbothered, Martha Stewart hits back at critics on Instagram with this picture of an iceberg captioned on her story, "Pleated icebergs, perfect for cocktails." Good for her. Here with reaction, Fox and Friends weekend co-host Pete Hegseth and former White House Chief of Staff Reince Priebus. Reince, we'll give you first crack at this. Okay. These lunatics now are caught. We're back. Donald Trump at no point in his presidency ever reached $3 an average for the price of a gallon of gasoline in this country. We're now headed back up to $5 a gallon for diesel. That means everything we buy at every store we go to is going to cost more. We're now close to $4 national average for a gallon of gasoline. It's already well over $5 in a lot of liberal states. I'm sorry. I am tired of us putting ourselves in an economic bind that is so preventable because of their adherence to their religious cult, because they're nuts. What do we do?
Well, it's so true. And, you know, I look back at 2016, and it's not just this story, but I get the feeling, and I'm sure you and Pete feel the same way, things are boiling over just like they were in 2016. You look at crime, people out there are nuts with going to CVS trying to buy a bottle of Advil and have to call the store clerk because everything's locked up. Whether it be, you know, transmania, where it's everywhere that you can find it, women in sports, our schools, and the woke environment that our kids are subjected to. He, him, she, their. No American pride whatsoever. Our border, homelessness, lawlessness all over the place. And it's not because of just the environment. Look, we can care and act without being insane. There is a group, and you've had them on the air, American Conservation Coalition. It's reasonable, normal things that normal people can do to help the environment. But I look back at 2016, and you see this boiling over that's happening in America. I never thought that things could be more volatile than they were in 2016. I've told people that Donald Trump was the biggest middle finger that the American people could find in 2016, and they found it. And here we are again. It's all of these things. And when you only have to move 100,000 people in 5 states to make the difference in the Electoral College, that's all we're talking about. This kind of stuff, not just the nonsense of of what's happened here in Greenland, but it's all these other things that are boiling over. And the American people know it, and the people watching know it. People are sick and tired of it all.
Pete, I'd actually give $10,000 to Martha Stewart's charity if she can somehow bring some of that Arctic ice home, and I can buy it from her, and I'll give her 10 grand to her favorite charity. I'd like to try a cocktail with her, with that ice. I think it'd make it tasty.
Sean, come on, I already beat you to the punch here. I already ordered some iceberg ice. I've got it in my glass right now with my water.
Wait a minute, you can order iceberg ice?
Amazing.
Where do you order that?
Iceberg ice. If Martha Stewart likes it,
out.
I love it. I mean, it's phenomenal. It's the best ice. She's the best out there. Why aren't we going for it? So I beat you to the punch on it.
Wait a minute. Are you buying this like on Amazon.com and Costco's? Where do you get it?
Dry ice straight from Greenland. I was kind of hoping Greenland would be the 51st state by now. Trump talked about it. Maybe it will be, but that's where I get it. And there's a recipe for unhinged liberals. It turns out in her cookbook too. And Martha's been over her skis on this a long time. The recipe for unhinged liberals is 1 part perpetual anger, 2 parts perpetual ignorance, just a pinch of Twitter muscles. They're like beer muscles, except it's online, and then you just repeat every day. And that's how you do it. Martha she gets it. She's not going to pay attention to this. She's just going to bring us iceberg ice, and we're going to love it all the way to the end.
You know, Reince, I'm shocked that Pete is so ahead of the curve, ahead of his time. We ought to open a bar and only use iceberg ice. I think that's a great idea.
It's a very clever. I'm all for. I'm thinking of making an old fashioned right now. It sounds great, Pete. When you're coming over.
Okay. By the way, nobody our
Done.
age drinks an old fashioned anymore. That's like, you know,
Hey,
the
if you're
World War
from
II
Wisconsin,
generation. I was a bartender.
minute,
Next thing you're
wait a
gonna
minute,
ask
Pete
for
was just-
Manhattan, straight up.
You guys were just in
Rob
Milwaukee,
Roy,
and
yeah.
no state consumes more old fashions than Wisconsin.
Is that true?
That
Listen,
makes
I was a
sense.
Actually, I
bartender
think
for years. I
Wisconsin
made.
drinks.
You just
I
take a
think they
cherry
drink
and an
more
orange.
brandy than
Yeah, go ahead.
they drink more brandy than every state, I think, in the country combined. And it's a brandy old fashioned. That's the state drink outside of a Miller
All
Lite.
right. Pete, your drink of choice, so everyone knows.
I think Wisconsin, I think Leinenkugel's, but, you know, there's no gin in this, but there will be in a moment, you know, or whiskey, whatever you need.
All right, we're going to stick by that story. I'm not buying it. I think that's gin. I'm guessing. Anyway, thank you both.